Hello everyone, it's Aidan here from Push Square, and this week I've been playing Ready or Not as it's finally made its way over to PS5 from PC. Let's see if it's worth your time though in our full PS5 review. So Ready or Not is a slow-paced, uber-tactical first-person shooter. It offers up a darker and grittier co-op experience than pretty much anything else currently on the market. But does that mean it's worth your time? While Ready or Not won't be for everyone, for me, there was a visceral edge to this game that I just couldn't get enough of. Ready or Not puts you in the shoes of a SWAT officer in the Los Sueños Police Department. Teams of 5 will head out on various missions where your task is to bring order to chaos. Now what that entails is either restraining or taking out hostiles, securing civilians, and reporting any evidence back to base, all with as few casualties as possible. It's a very simplistic gameplay loop at its core, but Ready or Not spices things up with its atmosphere, its dark subject matter, and its tactical mechanics. Now there are 18 different levels across the main Ready or Not campaign, with a further 8 missions available through DLC. I was almost taken aback by how varied and unique each of the levels felt. From dingy drug dens to millionaire mansions, each level has its own distinctive atmosphere about it. One mission saw an ex-intelligence officer turned conspiracy nut lace his log cabin with booby traps, meaning every door could mean death, and its tight-knit corridors dictated the types of weapons that I brought in with me.
Oh! Mission failed. Entry team, head home.
Another took place in a community college where the long hallways were the source of constant paranoia for the active shooters that were lurking. That's to say that while visually there's a nice variety, the design of each level brings its own challenges, which complements the hardcore style of gameplay. You see, Ready or Not is not some lock and load action shooter. A single stray bullet from an enemy or teammate can wipe you out, and even on the normal difficulty, your whole squad can go down if you aren't careful. I wouldn't say that the AI is smart, but it's aggressive and quite unpredictable. There's a rather steep learning curve in those early hours as you learn how to navigate the game's finicky item command wheel or familiarise yourself with the 6 different ways that you can interact with a door. This learning curve makes the single player mode much more of a chore. You're joined by 4 AI teammates who must be commanded at all times, and the commands can be quite daunting to start as you break down where you want them to stand at a door, how you want them to bust it down, and if you want them to throw something like a flashbang in the process. You'll get the atmosphere of the game this way, and it certainly can be played like an immersive single player experience, but for me, I didn't find the deep command system all that fun to navigate. It certainly gets easier the more that you use it, but it's obvious that this isn't the way developer Void Interactive wants you to play the game. Instead, Ready or Not is at its best when you're playing with a full squad of real teammates. In my early missions, we were all scattered, aimlessly blasting our way through missions. However, with no respawns on death, we quickly started to form strategy, coordination, and basically taking the game a bit more seriously. Communication is key in Ready or Not, and I reckon those playing solo and not so keen to jump into voice chat may lose out on some of the charm here. Before long, my team was performing pincer movements, tossing timed flashbangs, and clearing rooms without any casualties. Becoming more in sync with the rhythm of the game and developing our tactical skills was one of the most satisfying elements of Ready or Not. However, it does serve up this interesting contradiction of tone. On one hand, our squad had so many hilarious moments where tripwire bombs were triggered or there were friendly fire mishaps, but on the other, there were disturbingly quiet moments as the game faces themes of drugs, sex trafficking, and even pedophilia. What many could see as a po-faced police sim actually paints it in a very depressing light. That is especially prevalent when bullets start flying. There are no hit markers or directional damage indicators. Killing enemies can be quite harrowing actually, as they just fall to the floor or slump against the wall and start to choke on their own blood. The sound design here in particular is really great as well. There's a great sort of video effect that happens when the gunfights start, and it can be quite overwhelming at times. I really like these moments. Whenever anyone pulls the trigger, chaos ensues. It doesn't matter how composed or tactical your team is playing, firefights almost always result in a panicked barrage of bullets. What I loved even more about the gunfights from a gameplay perspective were the aiming mechanics that were built into the DualSense controls. With the tap of L3 or R3, I could tilt my gun from left to right, I could aim down at canted sights or a full scope with either a half squeeze or full squeeze of L2. It meant clearing rooms felt incredibly tactile and cinematic at times. There are quite a lot of options when it comes to your loadout too. There's a fairly in-depth customization system which allows you to change everything from your ballistic face guards to the amount of magazines you bring on a mission. This meant a bit of coordination with the team could allow someone to bring a mirror gun to peer under doors, while another squad mate would bring a battering ram to breeze on through. With assault rifles, SMGs, shotguns and pistols, I just loved how different missions would require, or at the very least encourage, a different type of gun, and each handles with a satisfying kick thanks to DualSense haptics. You really get to feel the difference between these guns as well, with Ready or Not's slow-paced gameplay. This is not a twitchy shooter in any sense, and for some, it will move at a glacial pace. When you're actually clearing out the rooms, it does feel very tense and fast-paced in its own way, but there is no run button, which I think works brilliantly for the way that the game wants you to play it. However, it can become an issue when you're scouring the map for one last hidden objective. So many of our missions ended with us just silently wandering around and around at a snail's pace, looking just for that last civilian or enemy. So coming across from PC, Ready or Not is a solid port on both PS5 and PS5 Pro. There's a performance and quality mode option on both consoles, with the former offering up a stable 60 frames per second and the latter dropping down to a choppy 30 frames per second. I really don't think the visual difference, I mean it's barely noticeable as is, but that frame rate is just too much for me. I had to play in performance mode. The various perps and civilians that you'll be dealing with all have this really weird like rubbery look to them. They're not very realistic in that manner, but the environments look fantastic with fine details and atmospheric lighting, bringing each of its settings to life. Ready or Not is a unique cooperative shooter. It's not fast-paced or explosive, flashy or even casual fun in the way that something like Helldivers 2 can be. That certainly will not be for everyone, and the solo experience doesn't really hold a light to playing with friends for me. However, all of those elements that may put some people off, mixed in with its harrowing and outright disturbing tone, make Ready or Not one of the most immersive co-op experiences available on PS5 right now. I'm giving Ready or Not an 8 out of 10. Thanks everyone for checking out my review of Ready or Not. Will you be checking out the game now that it's on PS5, or have you already? Let me know how you're getting on with it and what you would score it down in the comments below. And while you're there, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more PlayStation video content just like this. Anyway, until next time, I've been Aaron and this has been Push Square.